Hi, my name is Liz. This is my first YouTube video, so I'm really sorry if I'm a bit rambly. This video is going to be on one-handed knitting, casting on tutorial. I was born without my right hand, and I started knitting in November. I didn't think it was something I would be able to do, but I did, and I couldn't really find that many videos on one-handed knitting, so I thought I would upload my own for anyone that would be interested or didn't think they could do it either. So today I'm going to be using 9mm needles. They're nice and thick, and I'm using plastic ones because they're a little bit stickier, which is easier if you're a beginner. I actually prefer the metal ones because it's a lot easier to slide on and off once you get a rhythm going. And obviously doing this one-handed, the more movability factor, the better for me. But for the purposes of the casting on, I'm going to use plastic needles. I'm using a really thick wool, which is again easier for beginners, and it's Patons Big Fab wool, which recommends, you can see here if you've never bought wool before, recommends 10mm needles. And so I'm obviously using a little bit smaller, but that's not integral. Yeah, so there are a few ways you can hold your yarn, which I didn't realise, and I'm going to have problems later on when I try and do the purl stitch, because you have to have your wool in a different position. Some people weave it through their fingers and hold on. I really struggle with this. I can't use the needles and hold on to the yarn. It doesn't have enough tension, so I found my own way. This may not work for you depending on your disability. Obviously we have different heights and sizes, and so but hopefully this will give you some ideas as to a way that you can work it, and yeah, and at least see that it works for me, so it should work for you too. So to start, we're going to make a slip knot, which is, I'm now going to move the camera down so that you're not looking at my face. So a slip knot, you've got your string, your wool, and you just make a big loop, and you pull through like that. So it's got a loop, there's a little hangman almost, and then you pull tight, making sure you don't pull the tail all the way through, so just pull tight, you've still got that tail there, and yeah, let's try that again. So, and the beauty of the slip knot, you just pull it out. So let's try again. You've got your yarn, you've got your tail, and make a big loop. You've got your tail coming up through here, like that, and then you pull, so you've got a little hangman hole. Hold on to your tail and pull tight with the other hand like that. And oh. So one of the things that I find I need is that I need to have a proper backing, because the way that I knit, the only way is possible is I stick the needle under my right arm. So it needs to have a solid back to make sure that you have the support to push the yarn on and off. So this is how we start. Let's go with this, and then you can pretty much don't need your right hand. It's nice and simple. How I hold the yarn is that I wrap it around my hand like this. I can get good tension. It's quite easy to sort of just pull it if I need, but it's also can get the tension to stop it. And yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. So obviously if your hand hasn't grown or it's amputated higher up, this may be a little bit harder, but it may still work in principle. as I said, there are ways that you can knit with your yarn between your fingers like this, and you knit, but I really struggle with that. I haven't got enough brain power to multitask and hold it all on. So for casting on, you put your little loop on your left needle. So I start wrapping my yarn ready. I stick my needle. So this is all going to be a bit backwards because I can't do it from behind. So you want to have your left needle on top, pointing out to the right, and you want your right needle on the bottom, facing out to your left. So you're like this. Yeah. Okay, now I actually find casting on the hardest part of the whole process. It's a little bit fiddly, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad, and it's only however many stitches you need to cast on, so like 20, which, you know, in the long run isn't actually that many, and then the knit stitch is much easier. So to start your first stitch, you pull the yarn underneath and over your bottom needle. So this needle pretty much stays stationary throughout. You just have it tucked under your arm, and you do all the movement with your left needle and the yarn. So you've got your yarn over, as you can see, it's just popped over the top so it goes in the middle. You can pull the tail back down, and what you want to do is move your left needle up like that, and then so that the yarn that's over doesn't fall off, you pull it over like that. So you make a loop with the yarn over the right needle, if you can see, and then you pull it through, and you can, at this point you've got as much or a little, you've got all that space, it's just a loop on this one. And for casting on, you then bring your left needle back round and pop this loop onto it like that. Just pull the tail, and then you've got 2 bits, so that's 2 stitches. Perfect. So it will get a little bit easier when this tail's not there anymore. Let's give this a go again. So you bring this bit of yarn over, and this is your bottom needle, so pull it back a little bit. This is your bottom needle. You've got the yarn over it like that, and then you pull it up. As you can see, this is the bottom needle. Instead of letting this fall off like that, you've got it over, and then you pull this needle over like that, so it pulls through, and you can see this is your bottom needle through like that. So you can see, and you pull, at this stage you can just pull a nice big loop so that you can do that, because this is a bit I really struggle with, and then use your hand or this finger just to pull it on and then pull tight like that. So now you've got 3 bits, and you just keep doing this. You don't want to pull too tight, and make sure that it can, the needle gets fatter as you're going along, so make sure that it's not so tight that you can't move it up. So you can see it goes thinner here. Okay, so we'll just do that a few more times, and then you'll get the idea. You can see I can pull this as tight as I want, but you know, if I need to get some more yarn out, it's quite easy. It's just sort of a motion. In, over, made it a bit tight, try not to make it too tight to begin with, So you're pushing your needle through the hole that you've made, make it nice and long, move this back round to the back and through and on, like that. And through, yarn over, back through, sorry, got your yarn, just sticking it over and through the top, pulling, doo -doo -doo, back round and on. So the better you get, you don't have to pull the needle out, you just stick it back under again, and then over, through, and like that, and then you pull tight. Okay, so let's try another view. This is a little bit awkward, as you probably won't do it as low as this, but I'm just trying to show you how to do it. So just tighten up the yarn. So you pull the yarn over like this, pull it to the top, and then you want to pull down and off like that, and then pull a nice big loop. As I'm doing it under a little bit lower down is going to involve. I don't usually have my hand down there, but and then sticking that loop back on and pulling that tight on there. Okay, so try that again. Because this is a little bit lower, I'm using my right hand to support the needle, which is usually a little bit higher up, and just uses the back of the chair to support it. But for the purpose of this video, so that you can see a bit better, and try it. So you've got your yarn over, pulling to the end, and you want to get this needle to the top with this bit of yarn over it. So you're going over the top, pulling this needle down, got your yarn there, pulling through, and then you want to pull a nice big loop here, moving this back round to the back and through the loop, and then pulling that off your right needle and pulling tight. So putting this through the bottom like that. So it does this little cross. You've got right needle bottom facing left, left needle top facing right. Got your yarn over your bottom needle, pulling it to the end, pulling your left needle underneath with your yarn on top, pull it back, and nice big hole, move your left needle around to the back, just pull here, you can even pull it off your right needle and just pull tight like that. Try again. So underneath, over yarn over, pull to the end, put your right needle on top with the yarn, pull a nice big loop, move your needle to the back and pull it onto this needle like that. So remember to pull it down, sort of like that. Okay, let's try again. So, got your yarn tight, you stick your right needle underneath, like that, yarn over, pulling your left over, right needle up, nice big hole, moving your left needle to the back, sticking it through the hole and pulling tight. it is possible to knit one-handed. You just find ways of doing it. So I'm using my right hand, but I don't usually. I can easily do it all with my left fingers. So pull it through and in the top. Pull, pull, pull. Around. Oh, and on. Through the bottom. Yarn over. Okay, so accidentally pulled on a bit of thread that isn't there, so you just pull it on and try again. Yarn over, push the yarn through the top, make a nice big loop, move the left needle around the back and through, and then do it that way. Yarn over, back round and down. And just remember to keep pulling it down. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's go with 15, shall we? So back in, underneath, yarn over, through the top, and the bottom, just let it as loose as you want, around the back, through the hole, onto there, and if you're getting confident, stick it back in, and do it again. Through the thingy, through the loop, around the back, and then just do that. Through that, yarn over, big loop, under the bottom, and like that. One more. Yarn over the top, nice big loop, that down, around the back, and on. So there you have it. That's casting on, one-handed. Well, one and a bit handed, I guess. You just pull it down, and then, yeah. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it helpful and liked it. I would recommend looking at some of the two-handed videos just because you can get the first person point of view, which is really helpful. I just wanted to give a sort of overview of how to do it if you are doing it one-handed, how to hold the yarn and how I manage it. I will put all the details of the yarn and the needles that I'm using, as well as a book that I found very useful, and a couple of videos also that I use to learn. That's it for me. I will do a video on just the knit stitch at some point. Thank you. Bye.